public through creativity, systems thinking, and games for change. And I'll just say as a disclaimer that I'm not a scientist, I'm not an ecologist, I don't work in policy making, but what I am passionate about is creativity and bringing people together, cross-disciplinary practice, and creating connections. So hopefully that's something that might be of use to everyone. So just a little bit about my background. So I'm a graphic artist and social designer. My practice is very much values led. So I've been lucky enough to work with all kinds of amazing organizations that are really focusing on people and planet. And I'm now very lucky to call Manx Wildlife Trust and the Isle of Man my home. And there's two main things that I wanted to talk to you about today. The first thing is hacking the creative industries to deliver strategy and influence policy and the public. And the case study that I wanted to use for that is the Artist in Residency programme at Manx Wildlife Trust. And the second thing that I wanted to talk about is playing our way into potential, whole system games for change in the face of ecosystemic crisis. And the case study that I wanted to talk about for that is the Reimagining Our Biosphere game. I love this quote. There is an urgent need to engage with deep leverage points in sustainability transformations, fundamental myths, paradigms, and systems of meaning making to open new collective horizons for action. Art and creative practice are uniquely suited to help facilitate change in these deeper transformational leverage points. So I don't think I need to convince anyone here that the challenges that we face in the environmental sectors are complex. I'm sure you guys have heard the term wicked problems. So these are big, complex problems that are constantly moving, and they don't have one-size-fits-all solutions. So ecosystemic challenges require ecosystemic responses. And I also deeply believe that we need cross-disciplinary approaches if we're going to succeed as well. So just as a fun example to illustrate this, this is a project by Reef Design Lab in Australia that some of you might already be familiar with. So they created these erosion mitigation units, and it's a collaboration between designers, marine researchers, architects, and fabricators. And they've created these amazing, beautiful, kind of alien-looking structures all around the coast in Australia. There's all kinds of different ones. And not only have they been very successful in stopping erosion and bringing back biodiversity, but because they're so interesting and unique, they've got a lot of public attention, and that's got the politicians' attention as well. So I think this is a great example of how artists and designers and people that work in the environmental sectors can create symbiotic relationships that make a difference in the world. So I want to talk a bit about the first case study, the Biosphere Artist in Residence programme. So this is a collaboration between Manx Wildlife Trust and UNESCO Biosphere Isle of Man. And I think we have our CEO, Lee Morris, to thank for initiating this programme. It's supported by the Isle of Man Arts Council. It's a rolling year-long programme. It supports artists from any discipline. And the main aim of it is to connect new audiences to Manx nature through the medium of art and inspire people of all ages and backgrounds to act for nature as well. So towards the end of last year, I was fortunate enough to be picked as the next Biosphere Artist in Residence. So I'm just coming to the end of my year now, and I just wanted to share a little bit about some of the things that I've done during that past year as an example. So I've worked on lots of different projects this past year. These are just a few examples. So the Birds of the Isle of Man is artwork that I did to raise awareness of our endangered birds on the Isle of Man, and we created lots of illustrations and we put them on different products, and again we could sell this and create some money from that. And you'll see the tote bags there, they accidentally flew off to a big design event in London which we weren't expecting, and that raised a bunch of money, and the profile of the Isle of Man in other places as well. So that was cool. I ran workshops in the Natural History Department of the Manx Museum, and again that was bringing people that maybe don't normally connect with Manx Wildlife Trust to sit down, share what we do, to collaborate and talk about nature and their relationship to that. I've created artwork for Manx Wildlife Trust campaigns, so for example the Make Space for Nature campaign there. I created something called the Biodiversity Creation Station. So I engaged with hundreds of children around the biodiversity crisis through model making, and that was really fun as well. And I launched the Reimagining Our Biosphere game, which I'll talk a bit about in a minute. So I don't know if this is useful to anyone, but just in case someone in the room needs to hear this, these are my top tips for hacking the creative industries. So don't be afraid to work with artists and designers. There's a lot of us out there that are really interested in the work that you guys are doing and want to connect, want to support what you're doing through our skills. And you could, for example, pick an aspect of your strategy that you want to elevate, a challenge that you face as an organization, and create a brief around that. And having a think about who you want to reach as well. So artists can be really good at creating emotional buy-in for difficult subjects. So there might be a particular crux issue that you're struggling to get engagement with, and maybe this is something that could help. Projects can be as big or small as you want. So our artist in residency program is a year. That's quite long, but you could do something for a day or a week or 3 months. There's lots of arts funding available. So I think most places in the world have some kind of government's art funding bodies, but there's all kinds of other bodies as well. And I think they're waking up more and more to bringing sustainability issues, environmental issues, and connecting that with art as well. So I think there's more and more opportunity there. And if they're worth their salt, you can also ask them for advice on working with creatives if you're not sure about licensing and contracts. And also you can speak to other people that are running similar programs. So obviously at Manx Wildlife Trust, I'm sure we'd all be happy to speak to you about what we've done as well. So the second case study that I wanted to talk about is the Reimagining Our Biosphere game. It's a whole system game for change. And I feel really grateful that I've had this past year to bring this project out in the world. It kind of combines lots of things that I've been really interested in for a long time. So again, it's great that these residency programs exist because they allow people like me to kind of bring stuff together and create projects like this. So what is it? It's a customizable and bioregional game. It's grounded in regenerative and whole systems thinking, which is something that I'm really passionate about. And it takes into account the whole human and ecological system that we're a part of, which I think is really important and often overlooked. Humans and nature are not separate. And it can be used to help shape and design policy and strategy as well. So whereas the other projects I was sharing are a way for artists and designers to help elevate your strategies and your policies, this is flipping that on its head. What if you got artists and designers to help design your strategies as well? So the story so far, I launched the game back in May, and I've had a very busy few months. I've played it with over 500 people, and it's been really cross-disciplinary. So it's not only the players coming, but to work with other organisations as well. So we've got Manx Wildlife Trust and UNESCO Biosphere Isle of Man, but we've connected with other organisations on the island who have similar values, and I think that's always going to be a good thing to bring people together in that way. And I've got game events planned in the coming months to bring lots more people to it. So I want to bring together leaders from sustainability and business and policy making to start to collaborate for change through understanding the bigger systems better. So who can play? So it can be customized to play with any audience, and I think that's been part of the power of it. You'll see here there's families and children interacting with it, and it can be played in different contexts and timeframes and environments with different desired outcomes as well. So in this case, it's quite a light touch public engagement tool, but also, as I mentioned before, it can be a deeper facilitation method for closed groups as well. And I think this makes it really inclusive and a useful tool. So why games? So I think that when we're faced with these complex challenges, it's very easy to get overwhelmed, to shut down, to just not know what to do. And I know that from my own experience. There's a lot of psychology out there that shows that this leads to all kinds of things like anxiety and reductionism and compartmentalization. And I've seen that a lot in all the different places that I've worked in the world. And I think games are a really powerful way of engaging with these issues. They're fun, they relax us, they open us up to collaboration and creative thinking. So I think there's a lot that we can learn through creative practices like that, or even just watching children. How do they deal with complex problems? So I think games can be a really powerful tool. So just briefly, this is the structure that the game is based on. You'll see there's 12 nodes or themes or topics around the outside, and they're critical life areas for a healthy human and planetary system. And altogether, they form a web of 66 different connections. But within that, there's thousands of different patterns of systemic effects as well. So you can play with these and explore these through workshopping and different creative exercises as well. And I didn't design the underlying structure for this. This has come from an organization called H3Uni. It's available under the Creative Commons license, as a lot of these things are. But I've really enjoyed taking it and making it my own. I also knew that because other people had used the structure in other places that it worked. But yeah, to add that kind of gamification of it has been really fun and interesting. So just very briefly, because we don't have time, these are the 12 topics. So we've got well-being, food, trade, energy, climate, biosphere, water, habitat, wealth, governance, community, and worldview. So these are the 12 things that make up our human and ecological system that need to be kind of brought into awareness if we want to thrive. And what I've done is to interact with the structure, I've created this giant game board. So it's kind of this massive big thing. You can use it inside and outside. It's bioregional, which I think is really interesting. So we've obviously got the Isle of Man in the centre there, but it could be anywhere. It could be your island, it could be a country, it could be a city, it could be the whole world. But I think that's really powerful because people instantly, I don't know about other islands, but I know on the Isle of Man, they're super proud of the island. That shape is so recognizable to people and they immediately want to engage with it. And players can enter the game in different ways. So I've got all kinds of different props, whether that's dice or string or different cards or model making, in order to start engaging with that structure and start opening up for creativity as well. So these are some pictures of the game in action in different circumstances. So I think for me, one of my favorite things about it is just watching people come together and start to collaborate. I've seen the game almost, it takes on a life of its own and people start to invent their own rules. They start to have conversations that they wouldn't normally, and to be able to hold space for people to share how they're feeling about some of these complex issues has been really powerful as well, and to challenge them on their ideas as well. So it's been an amazing learning curve. I'm still learning. It's been really fascinating to see how it's evolving. And here's some more pictures of it in use in different situations. I haven't yet designed a travel kit, so I haven't brought it with me, but potentially if any of you come to the Isle of Man next year, you can come and join us with it as well. But yeah, I hope there's something in this that maybe triggers thinking about things differently and maybe using different tools to explore some of the challenges that we face as well. So yeah, that's me. Thank you.